When Lake Orion voters go to the polls on November 8th, they will be asked to fill 4 seats on the Board of Education.
Orion residents had one last chance to get rid of household hazardous waste during Oakland County's final No Haz event of the year.
The Oakland County Animal Shelter took part in a special event that attempted to bring pets and families together.
As the Lake Orion Dragons get ready for the playoffs, we'll look back at highlights from the homecoming game against Clarkston.
Hello, I'm John Atwater.
And I'm Melissa Kratt. We'll have these stories and more on this edition of ONTV News.
When Lake Orion voters go to the polls on November 8th, they will be asked to fill 4 seats on the Board of Education that will expire at the end of the year. Of the 4 open positions, 2 incumbent board members are running for re-election, current President Scott Taylor and Secretary Birgit McQuiston. The challengers include Sean Whiteman, Nathan Butke, and Dana Mermel. On Thursday, October 13th, all 5 candidates took part in a forum organized by the Greater Oakland Republican Club, also known as the GOGOP. The forum was moderated by Club Secretary Joanne Van Tassel.
Good evening and welcome to this special program being put on by the Greater Oakland Republican Club as a community service to let the people in the community know a little bit about the candidates who are running for school board this year. There are 5 candidates for 4 opened positions. And the Greater Oakland Republican Party has decided this is the best way to be of service to the community because nothing is more important to having a healthy, vibrant community than to have a well-informed electorate.
The forum ran almost 2 hours and each candidate was given a chance to respond to questions posed by Van Tassel. After introducing themselves, the candidates were asked to describe the biggest challenge the school district faces.
The financial distress that districts are facing. And this is for a few reasons. One of them is because the state has, over the years, given us declining foundation allowances for our students, but also because we have a retirement system that is completely unsustainable. And I find it interesting that as school districts we are accountable for things and making sure we're doing things right, and yet the state doesn't right size or correct their flawed retirement system. It's called MIPSERS and it stands for Michigan Public Schools Employees Retirement System, and it's an undue burden on every school district. This isn't just us, this is a problem for all districts.
I do think that Lake Orion is making some very tough choices right now, and they're doing the right thing by right-sizing the district. This is a very painful process on lots of levels for lots of people. I know that my priority would be to, and it has been a priority of the board so far, and I will give them kudos for this, and that is to maintain the quality programming we have and the quality educators that we have, because we are bar none, like highest of the bar, and I am so proud of that. Those would be my 2 things that I would really work to hold.
I know what those issues are. The issues are there's not enough money, right? So to be properly funded to do the programs that we want to do, and just we're going to get through this, and a couple more board meetings, and we will face change if the board agrees.
But the primary issue right now is in addition to that, is the declining enrollment that our school district has actually witnessed and has experienced. This is something that's been going on over the course of the state for many districts that are having difficulty. You can address that by doing a couple different things if you're a policymaker in Lansing. One of the things that you can do is potentially do a blended count where districts who are receiving declining enrollment can actually count or have an average of a 2 or 3 year period, so that it would make that impact a little bit less noticeable. At least districts can prepare for these numbers where students are declining. The other thing too, what Lake Orion can do is to market themselves in the community a little bit better. And the reason why I say that is because you can actually bring in families from other communities who are looking to move to find out more about what Lake Orion does and does well for students.
The big challenge that's sitting out there in doing that is really quite a simple one, and it's one that was really profound and evident when we were out knocking on doors for the Building and Site Sinking Fund. I mean, the thing's called Lake Orion Community Schools. And when you look at that community side of it, and you go out and you talk to the public and you knock on doors, there are a lot of people who were resistant. And when you got into a conversation, you start to understand why they were resistant. There was a little bit of lack of trust. Across the board, you would rarely find anybody who was flat out uninterested in the community. They were interested in the community, but they wanted to know that there was accountability and that there were people making smart decisions that were doing things that were right by the kids in the community.
You can watch the forum in its entirety right here on ONTV, Monday at 6 p.m., Tuesday at 2 p.m., Wednesday at 8 p.m., and Friday at 5:30 p.m. The program will replay through Election Day. You can also view it on demand on the Orion ONTV YouTube channel.
The Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center offers housing and medical care to more than 5,000 animals each year. Recently, the center took part in a statewide event that helped cats and dogs find a loving home. On Saturday, October 22nd, the Oakland County Animal Shelter was one of 50 shelters in Michigan to take part in the Empty the Shelters event. On that day, the Bizzle Pet Foundation promised to pay all adoption fees for cats and dogs. At the Oakland County Shelter, the cost of adopting an adult dog is $136.50. The cost of a cat is $57.50. By noon, more than 20 pets had found new homes.
We're so excited with the turnout. We have so many people here. It's just awesome. We're letting about 15 to 20 people in the building at a time, so it's not that crazy for the animals so they don't get freaked out. We're passing out numbers, so depending on what time you get here, what your number is, we'll let you in the building, then you can go through and look at the animals, and if you find one that you like, then you can go ahead and start the adoption process.
Although all expenses were paid for, many people offered to make donations to the shelter. It was the second year Bissell offered to pay the fees, but it was the first time the Oakland County Shelter took part in the event. They're hoping to make it an annual event.
Well, right now we did have 137 dogs, and we had about 120 cats. We range from little Chihuahuas to Pit Bulls to Bull Mastiffs to big dogs, St. Bernards. We get all kinds here. Cats, same thing. We run from just your alley cat to your purebred cat. So if you're looking for something, this is a good place to start.
At the end of the day, 30 dogs and 32 cats were adopted during the 6-hour event. By this time next year, operations will move to a brand new facility currently under construction at the Oakland County Complex in Pontiac. For more information, call 248-391-4100 or visit oakgov.com/petadoption.
With winter right around the corner, many homeowners might take advantage of the remaining nice weather to clean out their garage or basement. Those who are concerned about the environment recently had an opportunity to keep household hazardous waste from going into landfills. On Saturday, October 15th, Orion Township hosted the final No Haz event of 2016 at the Wildwood Amphitheater. More than 1,000 cars passed through the event to dispose of unwanted paint, chemicals, and electronics. 17 communities take part in 5 events throughout the year. Residents and member communities pay a $10 fee, but Orion Township is one of 6 communities that offers the service for free to its residents. Acceptable materials include home improvement items, yard and garden chemicals, and household items like aerosols, batteries, and cleaners. Electronics can include computers, televisions, gaming systems, and accessories. Automotive-related material may include motor oil, gasoline, antifreeze, and car batteries. The event also collects medications, propane tanks, fluorescent lamps, and mercury. A company called ERG Environmental assembles a crew to collect the items dropped off by area residents. 80% of the material gets recycled or repurposed. Latex paint can be mixed and reused by organizations like Habitat for Humanity. And flammable liquids can be blended for fuel. Electronics can be fixed and reused or recycled into component materials. The Orion Township event was the final No Haz event of the year. The 2017 schedule will be announced in February. For more information, visit nohaz.com.
Pine Tree Elementary School's Francie Robertson was one of 213 K-12 teachers from across the nation to receive the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching on September 8th. The award is given to educators who distinguish themselves as outstanding educators. In addition to being invited to Washington, D.C. for a ceremony and a chance to meet with the U.S. administration, recipients are also awarded $10,000 from the National Science Foundation. Robertson was one of 3 Oakland County educators to win the award after first being nominated and later reviewed at both the state and national level. The 4th grade teacher says she is thankful for everyone who has been with her on the incredible journey and that she wouldn't be the mathematics instructor she is today without them.
Okay. I really struggled with math when I was a kid. I had many tears. I didn't understand things. I was good at memorizing, but memorizing doesn't mean you're going to retain that information. Even my now husband can tell you I had many tears with him in college when I was doing business calc. But it took one professor at Michigan State that was teaching a math class on conceptual, the conceptual side of math. And ever since then, I have worked very hard to understand the conceptual side to all the math concepts that I'm teaching, and I just love it. I love the kids doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
Robertson and her husband attended the ceremony held at Constitution Hall and said that was the moment she truly realized the opportunity she had before her to impact U.S. education.
Lake Orion High School students recently celebrated a week of homecoming festivities. One of the biggest events of the week was the annual Powderpuff football game between the juniors and the seniors. ONTV's Kevin McCormick has the highlights from this exciting game.
On Thursday, October 13th, Lake Orion High School students gathered for the highly anticipated 2016 Powderpuff game. This year, seniors were looking to secure a victory for the 2nd year in a row. With 6.5 minutes left in the first period, the senior squad faked a handoff and successfully scored the first touchdown of the game. After a successful PAT, the seniors were leading 7-0. In the second quarter, the juniors were able to get on the scoreboard after making their way down the field at the 8.5-minute mark. The junior quarter made a successful pass to a fellow teammate running in the end zone. After a successful kick, the teams were tied at 7. With less than 3 minutes left in the second, the seniors pulled off another trick play to score their second touchdown, leaving the score 14-7 going into the third. The score remained until the final corner of the game action. With about 3.5 minutes left in the game, senior number 96, Paige Goodman, ran the ball to the junior end zone for a 39-yard touchdown. After a successful kick, the seniors had an incredible lead of 21-7. The juniors wouldn't give up easily, though, and made their way to the senior end zone at an impressive speed. With less than 2 minutes left, the junior team faked out the seniors and passed the ball off to Olivia Geis for a touchdown. Unfortunately for the juniors, the last-minute push would not be enough, and the seniors would take the win with a final score of 21-14. If you'd like to watch this game in its entirety, visit our website at OntV.org for future show times. With ONTV, I'm Kevin McCormick.
Thanks, Kevin. After starting off the season 1-2, the Lake Orion Dragons varsity football team managed to put together a 4-game winning streak to improve to a 5-2 record. The Dragons were hoping to continue their momentum as they headed into their homecoming game against Clarkston. ONTV's Joe Johnson was on the sideline and brings us the highlights.
On the evening of Friday, October 14th, the Lake Orion Dragons hosted the Clarkston Wolves for the 2016 homecoming game. Both teams headed into the game with a 5-2 record. A win would clinch a playoff spot. During Clarkston's very first drive of the game, running back Michael Flugel is hit and fumbles the ball. The Dragons' Roger White comes up with it on the 23-yard line. The turnover resulted in a Parker Blust field goal. The Dragons are on the board first, 3-0. Clarkston does a little better job of moving the ball on its second drive. With the ball on the Dragons' 30, Flugel takes the handoff and goes 18 yards to the 12-yard line. A few plays later, the Wolves are facing a 4th and 1 on the 3. Nick Stallworth gets the first down, but comes up short of the goal line. Then on 3rd and goal, quarterback J.T. King takes the snap and plunges into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. The PAT was good. Clarkston 7, Lake Orion 3. On the next series, Lake Orion is facing a 3rd and 17 on their own 19-yard line. Quarterback Johnny Marshall drops back and goes deep. He's picked off by Jacob Rogilski at the 40. He's got blockers, and he takes it all the way in for the score. The point after is good. The Wolves find themselves up 14-3 as the first quarter expires. The Dragons begin their next drive on their own 35, and on the very first play of the second quarter, Chris Wilson takes the handoff and loses the grip. The Wolves come up with the ball on Lake Orion's 37-yard line. A few plays later, the Wolves are facing a 3rd and goal on the 5. King finds Ryan Prisby in the end zone to extend the lead 21-3. With 5 minutes left in the first half, the Dragons have the ball on Clarkston's 41. Marshall hands off to Dylan Frank, who can't find the handle. Brandon Baker scoops it up and rumbles 44 yards before Johnny Marshall brings him down at the 15. Just a few plays later, Michael Flugel finds the end zone once again. Clarkston converts 3 consecutive Lake Orion turnovers into 3 touchdowns and take a commanding 28-3 lead before the end of the first half. With less than 3 minutes left in the half and in desperate need of a score, Lake Orion receives the kickoff. Jonathan Haggett fields the ball on his own goal line. He finds some holes, dodges tackles, and returns the kick all the way to midfield. Finally, the Dragons have some momentum. On first down, Dylan Frank hammers out 9 yards. On second down, Frank bowls through the defense, getting all the way to the 24-yard line on sheer determination. 3 plays later, Marshall drops back to pass. He's looking for Max Hornifer. It's tipped, but Hornifer grabs it, turns upfield, and launches into the end zone. The refs talk it over and signal touchdown, but the Dragons still have a long way to go. The 2-point conversion attempt failed. Clarkston 28, Lake Orion 9. At halftime, the Lake Orion Marching Band took the field for the 2016 homecoming ceremony. The entire court was introduced to the crowd. Returning to Dragon Stadium was last year's King and Queen, Dominic Fosman and Destiny Roper, to pass the torch to the new couple. With the crown and sash in hand, Dominic walked over to Connor Schlitt and crowned him king. Destiny placed the tiara on the head of Gianna Rowland to crown her 2016's homecoming queen.
Great. It was just an honor to be nominated. So
yeah, it was exciting. It was great to be nominated. It's a good time. It's fun.
Is it something that you have to campaign for and say, hey, vote for me because I want to be this or I want to be that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a campaign with all the dances and all week leading up to it, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, there was some campaigning, and we didn't think we'd win. Definitely not. So it was some surprise. It was cool. Yeah.
So with being crowned as Lake Orion High School royalty, what are the perks that go along with being homecoming king and queen?
Cutting in front of the lunch line, best parking spot. I'm pretty sure. No.
I think you just get recognition in the hallway. It's just going to be, for a couple weeks, I'm sure it'll be, hey, nice job, congratulations, so, yeah.
Back to the game, the fans were hoping the Dragons could keep the momentum going in the second half, but they just couldn't get anything going. With 6 minutes left in the third quarter, Clarkston tacked on another score when Flugel made his way into the end zone on this short run. The Dragons did manage to score one more touchdown. Late in the fourth, with the ball on the Wolves' 30-yard line, Marshall hits Dylan Frank with a short pass, and he does the rest, going all the way in for the score. But it was a little too late, and Clarkston comes away with a lopsided win on homecoming. The final score, Clarkston 45, Lake Orion 16. We caught up with a disappointed Coach Bell after the game.
You know, it's a rough night. There's nothing to feel good about tonight. We didn't play well in any phase of the game. When we came out and basically handed them the ball game in the first half with the turnovers, we put our defense in a bad situation. We didn't tackle very well. We didn't respond, and physically they got momentum. Physically they beat us up, and it was a bad night overall. And it's one of those things that you feel like we showed up to a prize fight and we never got a chance to take a swing, and that's all us. That was all our doing. And they credit to Clarkston. I mean, Clarkston's a good team, but I know we're better than what we played tonight. It's just disappointing that we played the way we did.
From Dragon Stadium, this is Joe Johnson reporting for ONTV News.
Thanks, Joe. The Dragons traveled to Bloomfield on Friday, October 21st for the final game of the season. Unfortunately, the team was shut out 21-0. But thanks to a bit of good luck, the Dragons managed to make the postseason with a 5-4 record, 4-2 in the OAA Red. The team will travel to Romeo to take on the Bulldogs in the first round. We'll have highlights on the next edition of ONTV News. And that's all we have on this edition of ONTV News. I'm Melissa Kratt.
And I'm John Atwater. Be sure to stay tuned for LO Sports Update with Kevin McCormick coming up next.